Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us on today's Taurus Tech Talk. For myself and Corey Church, we appreciate you logging in or tuning in to us. Today, we have a couple of gentlemen from Almo Pro AV. So Mr. Fernando Laclette and Mr. Steve Stacy. Guys, how you doing?
Excellent.
Welcome.
Excellent. Thanks for having us. We definitely do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is our first podcast over Microsoft Teams. So Corey and I got together and said, hey, we haven't got to do a show in a little bit because of the pandemic, and thought maybe this would be the best way for us to make that happen. And Fernando and Steve were kind enough to join us. And it looks like you guys are from home. Steve, where are you located in the world?
I'm from Kent, Ohio. Right in the
Kent,
heart of it all.
Ohio.
Okay.
What's it like in Kent, Ohio right now? What's the weather like?
It is full on summer. It's balmy and a nice 78 degrees today.
And that's a total brag, just so you know, because I think it's approaching the high 90s right here in Texas, with just about as much humidity as you can handle.
The humidity has been tapering off the last week, but it's consistently in the 90s so far for the last, 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks?
Yeah, summer is soon arriving. It feels like August weather, but it's our weather. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it gets to be this hot, it gets to be a lot less fun to do things outside. So hopefully all of our viewers are starting to get to enjoy some pool action, maybe going to plan their summer vacations. So Steve, why don't you give us a little bit of information, a little bit of background on Almo Pro AV and exactly what your company provides to tourists.
Sure, love to. Thank you. Almo Pro AV, we've been a division of Almo Corporation, which has been around for 74 years. Our division is actually the newest. We've been on the grow for the past 11. So the sales staff, we were formed 11 years ago by some industry veterans. We're led by Sam Taylor. All of us have worked with him for quite some time. I think the average tenure is about 10 years. So the division's only been around 11. So
Wow.
Pretty much we're
like
a value
Taurus.
add distributor. Yeah, you guys got some lifers too, I understand.
Oh, yeah. And Robert, what are you, year 14?
Yeah, I'll be 15 in September, so pretty stoked about that. When you work for great people, it's a pretty easy decision.
Sure makes it easier. I'll be 13 in September as well.
Yeah, that's all your life, Corey.
Yeah, pretty much.
He
I was born in 05, and I started with Taurus in 07. So.
He could pass for 22. I mean, he looks young. He doesn't have a single gray hair on him.
Yeah.
I don't have the camera zoomed in close enough for you to see them all.
Nice, but Almo, I mean, we're a value add distributor, so it's a lot more than just, brown boxes filled with the latest display technology. We pretty much represent all the major lines, and our sole focus is on the integration community. So that's the only customer base that our division serves. One of the things we do better than a lot of distributors and different than a lot of distributors is we supplement any of the labor needs, programming needs, design assist. We even get down in the weeds with content creation. So for the past decade, we've pretty much spent 1 year figuring out, each year figuring out how to better align the resources we have with those of the integration community. And it's been an awesome ride for the past 11 years. And I have to say, the alignment between Taurus and Almo is fantastic as well at all levels.
Yeah,
Well, and
we
you
really
guys
enjoyed the partnership.
You guys have helped us with some integration stuff as well, here and there as we've run short on some manpower. You guys have filled in some blanks for us to help populate some of our teams. And I think a lot of people don't know that about Almo. They think of Almo as a big box seller, but you guys definitely go above and beyond, and Fernando's always trying to help me out there.
Yeah, and we're constantly fortifying our footprint nationally as well, and we bringing in quite a few more resources. And now with the change in businesses and with the pandemic, it kind of opened up a little bit. So it's constantly evolving, but we're always looking to add to those resources, those being installation resources and other services as well. As you said, like Steve added content creation. We definitely have a great team there. We purchased a content creation firm that's run by Jim Nista, who is a absolute pro on that end. And he is, you can see his content work up on Times Square. So he does all projects, all sorts. So yeah, we are definitely full service, and it's done right all the way throughout. And same thing with programming, and now we have new engineering on our end, and various other things besides, like Steve says, the box sales. We definitely want to give our integrator partners as much information and as much arsenal as possible to help them out on their end. So it's something that I'm glad you brought up. It is a lot more than just selling a box here and there. It's definitely a full service, not only with services and the hardware, but also we take great pride in being true partners. I think it is definitely a family, and I work for you guys. I sometimes feel like I'm in your office, and I could be part of the team. And I think that just goes back to just simple sales 101. But I think our philosophies and our culture mirror each other between Almo and Taurus, and I think that's what's kept us going for so long. I've been calling on you guys for 6 years, so time is flying by, and thank God I don't have a goatee because it's all gray here. But it's definitely an appreciated partnership, and I think we are definitely take a lot of pride in being a full service distribution company.
Very good.
Well, Steve, we kind of stole your thunder there. You want to finish what you were saying?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Words. Hey, you get a salesperson involved. We're going to keep this real.
Well, that's the problem. You and I will end up probably being quiet, and these two are going to end up chatting back and forth. Salespeople like to take over the room, right?
Yeah, Fernando, I mean, he is the value part of our value proposition. You guys work great together. We partner together, not just on the commodities, but on the labor portion. We've all got skin in the game when it comes to a job going right, or potentially going wrong. We're all in it together. So he said it very succinctly.
Well, and I know Fernando loves it, and the pro services team loves it when I call on a Thursday. I'm like, I need 5 people on Monday at 8. What can you do?
Everybody loves those calls.
I'm sure under their breath they're like, oh crap. That's fine. I get it.
Yeah.
Hey, we understand. We're all kind of in the same boat on that end, and we know when jobs come up, and that's why we have those resources. We do the best we can with the request, and that's why we try to kind of augment as many resources as possible. So yeah, we're here to help, and we're kind of in this together here.
So Steve, tell us a little bit about your role with Almo.
Well, when we started back in, I won't give you the whole spiel, but when we started in 2009, we put it together with a handful of folks, and I was actually vice president of the West Coast. So that's a tough role for a guy from Ohio, by the way. So in 2009, we were coming out of a bad economy, and we put together an amazing team out of the remnants of a prior company. And we joined up with the Shakens, who own Almo Corporation, and it's been awesome. So we grew organically, and we also did one acquisition. So as a result of those two things, organic growth and the acquisition, we redrew the map. They said, hey, let's give Steve the central part of the U.S. So I'm vice president of sales for the central U.S., which is pretty much the Dakotas, all the way down to Texas, where all that humidity lives.
The best part of your territory.
It's one of my favorites.
So Fernando, tell us about your role with Almo.
My role is I'm kind of the senior sales account manager. I've been here for 6 years, and I cover Texas is 98% of everything I cover. I've got an account in Arkansas, but for the most part, fortunately, Texas is my territory. The majority is Dallas, but I do have Houston, San Antonio, and Austin, and very strategic partners on that end. So I definitely enjoy this territory. I enjoy hopping in the car and going to see customers. Now we've had to kind of taper that off, but that's my role. And really the role is, and as you know, as a salesperson, you kind of go through the whole process. It's not just, hey, sold, invoice done. We are true partners in everything we do. The primary job is we got to start off getting, we're a distribution company, getting all the stuff from point A to point B on a timely manner, because we're all kind of working on schedules on that end. And I know I work very well with you guys, Robert. You and I are working on various projects, and we are constantly communicating about staging certain products, quantities, and getting prepared for your installation. So I like to work hand in hand almost on all aspects of the projects. The more information I know, the more I help. And you guys invite us in like we're part of the staff. So I like to treat that way all throughout. I've been with Almo for 6 years, and before then I did radio advertising for 16 years, which is a different animal, but believe it or not.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, well, I wasn't on the radio or anything. I was in the sales portion, so I was selling air, hot air, if you will, on that end. So it is a different animal, but it's also a lot in the same. I mean, there are some simple sales 101 aspects. I mean, it is about customer service. Every sale has your name on it, and it is being timely, punctual, answering questions, and being part of the whole process, which taught me a lot. And when I was fortunate enough to join Almo, I took a lot of those things. I learned Pro AV, and I learned the distribution game and applied what I already had. And it's definitely paid off. I cherish all my partnerships that I have with all my integrator partners, and it's worked out well. So I'm pretty excited, pretty happy, and we are a full service company, and we've got some great lines. So it's positioned well. I am very blessed.
So tell me, Fernando, since the pandemic, and I'll tell you a little bit about my situation before you have to share. Since the pandemic, I mean, I have 3 young girls. Corey's got 2 young children, and I can tell you it's easy since the pandemic to order out. So I want to know.
Oh, yeah.
Don't try to kid us. I want to know where you've ordered from the most. It's not a plug necessarily for a restaurant, but it'll probably come out that way.
No, and you're right. You get people that are cooking in all the time. That's really mostly sometimes on the weekend, but I am ordering quite a bit and doing pickup. And I've got 2 places. One of them is called Don Don Poke, and they have these unbelievable poke bowls and sushi. Okay. Yeah, it's good. And in this day and age when, as you were talking about the quarantine 15, I'm trying to, because I was eating whatever was in front of me that was convenient. So I tried to get in that role and really support also the local businesses. And the other one I've been ordering a lot, which this is going to be a shameless plug, but my brother-in-law owns 2 restaurants called Tricky Fish. One of them is in Richardson, down by the State Farm World Headquarters. And I order a lot from him and try to support him. It is a seafood sandwich and nice exotic drink emporium, if you will. Nice. And the beauty of a lot of these places is they not only do you get the food to pick up or to go or deliver, same thing with the alcohol portion. So if you need a jug of margaritas, it's nice and convenient.
So are they doing that in Ohio, Steve? Are they sending you home with jugs of margaritas and 6 packs of beer with every order like they do in Texas?
It's been known to happen. Yeah, the Mexican places locally definitely have plenty of takeout, and margaritas are an option. And I have actually done that. They put it into a plastic container for my wife. She wanted a frozen margarita with the Mexican food, so I hooked her up. But our favorite place is right next to Kent State. It's a Japanese place. They got sushi, hibachi. It's called Toko. So my youngest discovered the joy of fried rice recently while we've been at home for 2 months.
That's awesome, man. I think for us, we've experienced a pizza place called Pazzo, and it's a wood-fired pizza and salads. And I think that's probably dominated our order menu. As a matter of fact, I feel like every time we pull up an app like Uber Eats, I feel like it's just throwing it in my face. Like, would you like to just order here again? Just press this simple button.
Yeah, same order again, or same order again.
No problem. What about you, Corey?
We've had a variety of stuff, but I think the place that we've ordered from the most is a Mexican food place here in McKinney, and they do half-gallon and gallon margaritas, and then give you a bottle of liquor on the side. So it's literally a gallon, like a milk jug, but full of margarita. But funny thing about that is we've ordered from there, I don't know, half dozen times, and it's always fajitas with all the fixins and margaritas. And I went up there, it was Cinco de Mayo. We went up there and we placed a pretty decent sized order with a bunch of margaritas, and I pull up and like, oh, we don't have your order. And I placed this order like 4 hours in advance because it was May 5th. I pull up there, we don't have your order. Like, what do you mean? We waited like 4 hours for this food. Like, you got to help me out here. And so they figure it out. They make our food. They were great. And as he's bringing the food out, he brings out another gallon of margaritas. And he's like, really sorry about that. Here's 2 gallons of liquor. I hope you have a great day.
That's awesome.
Like calling all your friends over. Hey, you guys got to come over.
Yeah, like, we're out of food, but come drink some margarita, please. It was so good. It was worth the mild annoyance, and they made it right. They took care of it, but it was that was funny. But we probably ordered from there the most.
Yeah, it has been. I have a special place in my heart for the service industry. It has been interesting to see the impact to that area and a lot of other businesses. And my hope is, and I know we're starting to see it here in Texas, businesses are opening back up. People are coming back to work, which is going to kind of segue into our next content session. That I think that a lot of these restaurant industries and chains around, hopefully you'll start to see a little bit more business impact and boom in that market, because I know a lot of them could certainly use it. So I think it sounds like we all try to do our best to support the local businesses with the restaurant industry anyways.
Well, I know, Robert, you were a bartender before you got to Taurus, so that probably is near and dear to your heart. I never worked on the service side of food. I always worked in the back. That's where they keep people like me.
Yeah, I like to say, and this is going to sound like another plug, but I like to say that essentially Chili's, the restaurant Chili's, is responsible for my entire adult career and personal life. I met my wife at Chili's. I met the owners of Taurus Technologies at Chili's, and the rest is kind of, as they say, history. So,
wow,
Nice.
So let's jump right into it. I'd like to direct this one to you, Steve. We've seen obviously a lot of changes since March when COVID hit the United States, and a lot of those changes can be difficult, they can be stressful, and some of them can be for the better. And so I just want to know, in your opinion, how COVID has affected Almo, if at all, and what that looks like, and then maybe your thoughts on what you see going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think initially, right at the beginning, the first thing we noticed were just things were getting just pushed, kind of kicking the can down the road. The integration customers, nothing was canceled initially. We just want to push this a little farther out into the next month, in the next 2 months, or indefinitely, but we'll get to it. So less cancellations and more just pushing it down the road. It was probably 30, 45 days into the spring, and some of the customers realized on the education side, the kids are at home, we can get access to the buildings, we might be able to go ahead and do this project and pull it forward. So interestingly enough, that education sector kind of is still busy. So one of the things we did, as we noticed people were kind of scrambling, a little panicked, we reassured them, one, we've got inventory. Two, we went to our vendor partners, and that is, the big guys, the Samsungs and NECs and Panasonic, and we formed kind of a financial relief alliance. And this enabled us to offer extended terms. Hey, we're going through this together. Let's get you the product, but let's push it out 60 days. Let's push it out even farther if we need to. And the nice thing, as we got into it and we started partnering with folks and kind of sharing the pain, we noticed that our stock position was solid enough that we could hold on to inventory. I mean, even recently down in the Texas warehouse, we staged stuff for a customer that wasn't even ours. You know, they're like, hey, this Extron, all this stuff has to go together. Can we just put it in your warehouse because we don't have space? So we've been finding ways to partner. That's really got us through the tough times. But I think the markets that have kind of weathered the storm really have been the education and the healthcare sectors, and we've just been weathering that with the resellers the whole way.
I think that's great, man. I absolutely love hearing the stories of people bonding together. You know, in our industry, in the professional audio visual industry, that's one thing. I mean, we have times where we're competing against people and distributors are competing against another. So it's really, really cool to hear that you can make this alliance and say, hey, this is for the better of the business and for the better of everybody that's involved. So I think that's just absolutely fantastic. That's cool to hear.
Well, it's
the product. Sorry, go ahead, Corey.
I was just gonna say it's I agree with Robert. It's good to hear, and really it solidifies Robert and I's decisions as it relates to partnering with specific vendors. We want to be partnered with vendors who are real people and understand, you know, real situations and do what they can to help out. And, you know, in some cases they can, some cases they can't. And you know, Taurus does the same thing. So again, we try to choose vendors and manufacturers who have aligned goals, much like Almo and Taurus.
Yeah. You guys have been genuine throughout this whole thing. I'm happy to say. You know, the product perspective has changed too. We went from selling the core products, you know, video walls, those things kind of got shelved, and it shifted toward, well, we just need some small bundles. We need, hey, we got to work from home. You know, we've seen camera sales go through the roof for small form factor. I mean, literally, we've brought in tens of thousands of small form factor cameras, and we partnered with folks like Hudley, and it's just gone through the roof. Hard to keep them on the shelf. The audio portion's the uptick as well, because you guys know, working from home, and I've worked from home for 27 years, that you get fatigued when the audio is bad. So we've seen products like the Yamaha, the UC line just take off because people, they want good audio, they want a clean mic, they want good, you know, sound. I mean, you guys, I got great sound. You probably heard my dog in the background, right?
Yeah.
We did hear the dog. It was a nice added feature.
That's what the people probably listening haven't figured out or don't know yet, is those are the products we're using to have this call. Mm-hmm. You know, normally we would be in our studio at the office, but in this case, we're still able to use professional, you know, equipment from a professional manufacturer that's designed to be packed up and taken with you. And that's, you know, I know that's what I have here, and that's what Robert has at his desk.
Yeah.
Robert, today, sorry, go ahead.
So today we're using, the guys were kind enough, Fernando and Steve, to send us a Hudley Go and a YVC 200. And that's what you're hearing and seeing us all on today. Fantastic clarity. And it's one of the biggest pros, I think, to what's been going on over the last 3 months. Is a pro for me is that now people are getting more engaged on web conferencing or video conferencing, and they're realizing that they do need to have better video and audio quality to promote that engagement and increase productivity as best they can now that they can't physically be in front of somebody. So Fernando, tell us about a pro, because you know there's so many cons in the world right now, especially around the pandemic. So I'd like to hear, Fernando, about a pro that you've experienced since the pandemic started.
Well, there's, excuse me, there's always two sides to the coin there. So there's the doom and gloom aspect of it, but there's also the good side. And I'll start, I guess, more of a general, not so much business, but it's kind of allowed us to take a step back and, I guess, smell the roses, if you will. It's funny, I look out my window and I work from home as well. and I look out my window, and in the past couple of months, all of a sudden you see families walking, kids on their bikes. Everybody's outside enjoying it. It reminds you of kind of when you were growing up as a kid, and that wasn't happening for a while. I mean, we were so set on, hey, we got to put in our 10 hours a day, and we got to do as many transactions as possible. And it is very much a high speed game. And we still work at a high speed game, but you got to kind of take a step back and look at the big picture. So that's more of a personal level that I really enjoyed. It's like, God, this is nice. I go out and I've gotten into riding bikes now. So you see a lot of people out there out in the park, people just grabbing their lawn chairs underneath a tree and just hanging out at the park. So it's different. It's cool. It's unique. And I think that came out of us taking a step back on real life, because time goes by way too quick when you do that. And that's on a personal level. On a business level, it's and I tried to do this before the COVID, and we all try to live by this philosophy. But it's allowed us to also become very much personal with our work partners and our families. We consider each other, I consider my partners families. I mean, we spend a lot of time together, almost as much as we do with our families. So we partner up together. Hey, what can we do? How's your business doing? Or how are you doing personally? All of a sudden, you're asking those type of questions, and we really partner up. What can we do to help, and vice versa? It becomes very much a two-way street, as opposed to, hey, can you cut $5 off this? Or I saw it on the internet, $3 cheaper. It is a true partnership, and I've noticed that people, I have a lot of faith in people and the human race, and I think we're all, for the most part, inherently good, and it's allowed us to kind of take a look at each other, and it's been nice. It's been very, very cool.
That's a good point. I noticed. I agree with you, man. Working from home, Corey and I both have what I would think is some pretty stringent work hours, some pretty long days, and we spend a lot of our time in vehicles going from this to that, or from home to work, and that added time that we're getting back with our families is, I mean, totally on a personal note, but it's awesome. You get to spend times with your kids, get to see them when you normally wouldn't. I know my wife has been thankful for me being at home, not only helping them when they were still in school doing some schoolwork, but now all of a sudden I'm able to get all these little things that she's been asking for done. I hung a new fan, I fixed the toilet, I put the patio up outside. So that's been a pro for me. What about you, Steve? How are things in Ohio? Do you see a lot of people out and about and exercising and spending a lot more family time too?
Yeah, Governor DeWine was quick to shut it down, but he was also quick to open it back up. So it's been probably a little less impactful here than it has on either coast. But I mean, some of the pros, just from a professional standpoint too, I noticed we're lucky enough to have a company that's willing to pivot. So if you asked me back in January, hey, you guys, you're going to be selling fogging kits, and you're going to be selling temperature check stations, integrated kiosks, I would have said, yeah, okay, yeah, we're in the AV business, right?
Yes. Steve's like, we're not interested in that.
Yeah, boy, here we are at the shift at the end of the pandemic, and sure enough, those things are what we have on the shelf, and what we're moving out the door. Working at home, that's nothing new for me. The dog, the wife, the kids. It's been nice to get to know, since I'm not traveling for the first time in 27 years. It's been nice to get a little closer with my community. That's been a bonus for me. Friends I've had since high school that I actually get together with, once a week, obviously within 6 feet of each other, a little social distancing going on, but
Sure.
Those relationships. It's funny too, the phone calls I've had during the pandemic, folks from out west and back in New York, just industry folks that are used to seeing me for the past 27 consecutive years at Infocom. We call each other. It's like, hey man, we're not doing Infocom this year. How you doing with all this? So the relationships, more than anything, has been a tremendous personal pro.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
Fernando, you mentioned earlier about bicycles. Did you happen to hear that for a number of weeks, North Texas, all of the bicycle shops were completely sold out of every shape or size of bicycle. The entire Metroplex was devoid of bicycles. And if you went online to look for like used bicycles, the prices were crazy. My wife and I already had bicycles that we bought when we moved into the house we're in now. So we didn't need to go bicycle shopping. But I was shocked to see that they're sold out, like Walmart, Richardson Bike Mart, all those places completely sold out. I don't know if they still are, but
they kind of are. It's funny. I had this conversation with my brother yesterday because the bike I have is 15 years old and it's been hanging in my garage collecting dust until the pandemic. I said, you know what? I can't go to the gym. Let's go take that thing down. And then I really started to enjoy it and get into it. So, you know what? Maybe I should buy a nicer bike, something that I'm going to use. And I ran into exactly what you said. I can't find a new or used bike anywhere. And it's tough. So I'm going with my bike. It still rolls and it works just fine. But yeah, there's definitely a high demand for bicycles around here and probably everywhere else.
One of our coworkers, Brian Rainey, he rides his bike quite a bit, but he always takes it to the same place at the beginning of every season and has it serviced. Because he rides quite a bit. He's riding 2 or 3 miles a day. I say quite a bit. He's not a road biker, right? He's not one of those guys. Right. But he's riding 2 or 3 miles a day, 4 or 5 days a week. And so he takes it and he has new tires put on it, has a chain serviced, has all that stuff. So he runs it up there and he's used to just running it up to the bike shop and dropping it off and picking it up a couple of days later. And he's having a conversation with the guy and he was like, yeah, you can drop it off. You're like number 173 as far as bike service. He goes, I'll have it done in probably 6 weeks.
Oh, man.
And Brian was like, no, that's fine. I'll take it home and I'll make do. He's like, I couldn't believe it. 6 weeks. Normally it's 2 or 3 days to have my bike serviced. So that's encouraging. I mean, I can't say that I've ridden my bike any more than normal, which is almost none, but I'm glad to see a lot of people, have gone out and spent some money on some bicycles.
I'll share another pro and a con. So pro is that like bicycles, like getting out and exercising, spending more family time, a little bit less travel. Trying to make sure that the kids are entertained other than maybe getting in front of a screen, that no TV, no iPads, no phones. So my wife and I were probably doing the same thing that a lot of parents were doing, is trying to find ways that we were entertained as kids, which would be like puzzles. So we had a couple of puzzles that probably hadn't been open for years. And that was another thing you couldn't find anywhere on the internet was, hey, I just want a 500-piece puzzle for the kids. Can't find it anywhere. So finally found a couple for some neighbors. And I got so addicted to puzzles. I mean, I stayed up until like 2 a.m. one morning just because I had to finish this puzzle. So that was like a kind of one pro and one con. And I can tell you the other thing that you shouldn't do when you have kids my age. And hopefully Corey's kids are a little bit younger. So this is more of a point for him. Do not bring Monopoly out.
No, that's not a game you play with people you like.
Oh my gosh.
It's not.
Maybe this would help with my oldest is 10. She's obviously very good at math now, but maybe it starts to help my 6-year-old with some math, make her the banker. And here we've got like a Monopoly game that's been going on for 3 days. And that's all they want to do. They'll come knock on the door. I'll be in a video meeting. Hey, Dad, it's your turn. So that's I guess I thought it was going to be a pro, but it definitely turned into a con.
Who's flipped the board? Who flipped the board first?
Oh, Grace did.
I figured. Yeah, your eldest. No, my kids aren't old enough to play Monopoly yet, but I think Laurel and I, my wife and I, played Monopoly like one time. We've been together 12 years, 13 years, something like that. And I don't. It's been a long time ago. I don't remember exactly how it ended, but I'm not sure it went well. I just.
So, Steve, you had mentioned a little earlier about some of the products that your business has really shifted and concentrated on, like the Hudley Go, like the YVC that we're using today. What is some of the feedback or maybe some pointers that you can offer to the people that are watching the cast that they should probably think about when it comes to all of these additional web conference and video conference meetings that we've been taking? What are some pointers that they should be on the lookout for?
Oh man, pointers on meetings. The greatest pointer I think I could offer up is there is such a thing, and I've experienced it, just a fatigue from being on video calls. I highly recommend that whatever the medium that you're using, whatever the format, leave it on speaker view. Do not try to pick through the whole gallery and keep your eyes on everybody at the same time, because 10 minutes of doing that, you need to step outside and go get away from your monitor. You know, much like our kids, you got to take our own advice once in a while and just step away.
Yeah.
So don't get fatigued, and when you need to, take a break. Take 10 minutes, walk away from your desk. You know, just come back refreshed. Bring something back to the table. I don't know. The bigger picture, I think finding people you can align yourself with, I think that's incredibly important. Whatever this new normal looks like, I'm not a doom and a gloom kind of guy, but find your partners, and keep them close at hand, keep them close correspondence. We need to lift each other up throughout this thing. So it's been rough. It's been rough on a lot of companies. So we really do need to pull together and kind of bolster each other's morale more than anything. Call and talk about personal things. How are your kids? How are you guys getting through this? I found that to be, just keep that sympathetic ear, whether it's your customer, or whether it's your coworker, or whether it's a vendor partner.
Yeah, that's a great point. I had a contest with the sales team. We had these virtual happy hours, if you will, just to kind of keep it not so monotonous for all the video calls that you've been taking, because they're accustomed to is being all traditional outside salespeople. They're accustomed to driving to meetings, and although we are huge proponents and resellers and integrators of video conferencing technology, we enjoy meeting with our customers face to face. And so in these virtual happy hours, the recent one that I had was a contest on who could come up with the best virtual background. And we voted on it collectively as a team, and the winner got a $50 Starbucks gift card. So they all really.
Do you have a picture of that, Robert?
I do. What we'll do is we'll pop it up.
Yeah. We'll show it. We'll show it in post edit here, because I don't even think I've seen that.
It's pretty funny, Corey. I'll share it with you later. I mean, there's one of them's got. It looks like that they're at the Tiger King in the background. Another one is it looks just as if they're sitting like where a news broadcaster sits at the Mavericks arena. There's some really thoughtful ones that were put out there. So just kind of going back to what you said, Steve, I think what you said is a really, really good point. I didn't even think about that. Putting it on speaker view so you can concentrate on the person that's delivering a message or content or information to you. That's a pretty great tool, man. I appreciate you saying that. What about you, Fernando? Do you have any pointers for those that are joining a lot of video meetings these days?
Kind of what Steve touched on, a couple of different things. When I first started working from home and remotely, it took a while to get used to it. So I got into a routine, and it's routine or rhythm. So you get up just like you're normally going to work. You shower, you shave, you get dressed, and you have your coffee. You step outside, and then you walk into the office and just kind of treat it as if you're really going into a real office, which you technically are on that end. And then the other thing, kind of what Steve said, look at the camera, be involved, pay attention. Also, this is a professional environment, so backgrounds are important. If you're at home in somebody's bedroom and there's laundry all over the place, it's not really the best presentation. You got to understand that everybody's watching, and it's actually kind of comical now that you see, even when you're watching TV, newscasts, or everything else, the big craze is watching people's backgrounds. How do they live, or where are they? So a pointer is, hey, try to try to have a professional background and be professional, just like if you were in the office on that end. It is have a little fun with it, but yeah, we are still in a professional environment, and I think that's important.
I feel like when Corey and I are on with customers, at least once a week, we've got one of our kids that pop onto screen, totally unintentionally. And it seems like every single time we spend the next 5 to 10 minutes discussing our kids with the customer, which is great. It brings some relatability to there.
Yeah.
That, we have
I'm
like they do.
I'm not going to openly admit that that's a ploy. that I don't stage that, because I certainly wouldn't do something like that. But, if that were the case, it certainly works to break down the conversation and open it up a little bit.
So,
especially, because my kids are cute, right? Nobody else's kids are cute.
Exactly. Fair enough. So, Steve, I'd like your opinion on the big topic, as it is maybe this week, and it could change any day, is returning to work, and when customers are going back to work, when they're going to feel comfortable for that. What are you hearing out there in the industry?
Yeah, that answer I think could really vary wildly by state. So if we're talking about Illinois or Wisconsin, I think you have one answer. If you're talking about Texas, I think you have a very different answer. Just a couple for instances. I mean, I think we're teed up for a very busy summer in the southern states. I think Texas in particular, you guys are going gangbusters. I can't say the same thing for Wisconsin and some of the upper Midwest heartland areas. I kind of went to Avixa just to look for trends and data, and some of it is very sobering, but some of it is very real. They surveyed respondents and they asked them, hey, can you predict when the bulk of the AV, projects are going to recommence? And about 56% of them said anywhere between July and October. So to me, that's extremely encouraging. July is, it's coming up on us fast here. They also surveyed the end users, and I think that's what's going to drive a lot of what we do or don't do. And about 25% of them are thinking that the bulk of the AV projects are going to begin in July. So that was pretty positive. The rest of the respondents said, 32% of them said between August and September. Happy to share that link with you from Avixa as well. But I'm not a doom and gloom kind of guy. I think the more positive we are with each other and with the end clients, the more this is going to bounce back. Like I said, if you ask me, hey, would I be selling room foggers and temperature check kiosks? What the heck's that? Now it's actually in the warehouse ready to go. We just need to be, we just need to respond and support the end client, the integration client, just all the way down the line.
I'm really interested to see I don't think 2020 financially for the AV industry is going to be a significant issue. I think next year and the following year are going to be, I don't think that they'll be bad. I just think they're going to be different. I think the landscape is going to be a lot different than what we're accustomed to right now. I feel like a lot of the high-rise buildings, the downtown buildings where companies are renting multiples of floors just to house bodies and, cubicle-esque type farms. I think some of that will go away or lessen or change, and some of those needs for those meeting spaces will change. But I think that's going to transition into that same money being spent on better user experience for their customers, right? Rather than a bunch of semi-empty office space. They're going to have nicer finished spaces with higher end AV. So I don't necessarily see it going badly. I just think it's going to be completely different. I think we'll be engaged in different positions, different products, different integrations. And, with a partner like Almo and the integration work that Taurus is capable of, I think I think it'll be a very interesting time to be involved in AV, especially as we continue to transition into AV over IP, which is what Robert and I preach over and over and over again.
What about you, Fernando? You got any thoughts on that and the return back to the possible norm?
Yeah, I'm seeing, and I'm sitting here in Texas, like you guys. I'm seeing a lot of positives here, and like Corey says, commerce is still going to happen. It just might look a little bit different, and we just have to kind of be able to pivot that way. And it might not happen immediately. It might be 6 months or a year down the road. But yeah, I am seeing the same thing. My business is strong. It's starting to be strong. May really picked up in June, and July is really looking strong. So I'm seeing a lot of these projects happening in that direction as far as stuff that kind of got put on hold. So yeah, I'm very optimistic on where it's going, and we just have to be ready on which way we're going to go and how we're going to do it. But yeah, we're all still going to, not the whole world's not going to shut down. We're all still got to get creative and still do business. And I think we're nimble enough to do it. So yeah, I'm like everybody else that sees on this call, we're very optimistic, and that's just not pie in the sky. We're seeing some signs that some tangible quantitative signs for that. So yeah, I think we're in definitely good position. And as long as we're, like we said, nimble, we'll be fine. And we just got to keep servicing our customers and listening, just like everything else. Listen, and let's see what the environment calls, what the end user requests, and what we can do with our integrator partners.
Well, you guys have been incredibly diverse over the years, and you've proven to be agile. So I don't anticipate any issues for you guys. It's the companies that, we've been doing it this way for 20 years, so this is how we're going to do it. And Robert and I and our ownership, thankfully, try to bend and flex as the market requires us to, and try to anticipate as things are going to change. So we're, as prepared as possible and prepared to answer the call of our end users and be supportive and ready to go.
Another thing that I wanted to bring up and just kind of mention to a lot of our viewers that are accustomed to this time of year and InfoComm. I think for the first time since I've been in the business, InfoComm won't be held in person, obviously. It'll be a virtual event, and that's scheduled for next week. Do you guys have plans to join some virtual portions of InfoComm?
Yeah, actually we do. We've got a services spot actually right after the opening, the live kickoff keynote speech. Sam's got a spot. It's called Ask Away. It's a Q&A session that we're going to have. So yeah, we definitely have a presence right at the beginning. So be there for the kickoff, and definitely be there for Sam's speak at the virtual InfoComm. We're excited.
That's good to know.
Yeah, it was nice. It was a good spot to get.
Yeah, I'm sure between the four of us, we've probably got upwards of 40 or so InfoComms between us. So while it's sad that it's not going to be in person, it gives us an opportunity to maybe get out of town and hang out with some customers and have a good time and view a lot of great technologies. I'm sure the virtual event is going to be very impactful too. I think probably by our next episode, we'll be able to talk about a lot of new products and new waves we're starting to see come out. Listen, guys, I really just want to thank you for spending a little bit of time with us today. Obviously, sending us the Yamaha and the Hudley Go for the video and audio portion. Hopefully, a lot of viewers get to experience. I mean, just so someone can gain some perspective, I'm about 2 feet away from my Hudley Go and about 1.5 feet away from my YVC. And we did a little bit of testing before the recording happened, and I think everybody was pretty impressed with the quality. So if you're looking out for those products, and like Steve mentioned earlier, they're flying off the shelf, but those products are going to be very popular, I think, for really a long time, not just around pandemic talk. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you would like any more information on Almo, we're going to post a link at the bottom of the page. Please visit them. You can get a lot of great information on their products and services. And be on the lookout for more podcasts from Corey and I, hopefully some back in the studio, but some maybe over web calls as well, since that is the new norm. And if you'd like any other information about Taurus or like to hear any particular subject matter, just shoot us an email over at info@taurustechinc.com. Fernando, Steve, thank you guys so much. For myself, for Corey.
Thank you
I
both.
hope y'all have a great day, and thanks for viewing.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen.